Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
With us as always, visiting Professor Dr. A.D. Drew coming in. And then we talked a lot yesterday, on Tuesday about that Black College Sports Network family. And Sonja Stamps is part of that Black College Sports Network family. She has her show, She Say, on here. Welcome into Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Sonja.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Now you have a really, really phenomenal show, and I want to say that in terms of the type of guests that you bring on. You've interviewed heavy hitters not only within HBCU athletics, but people in general. And just tell the people who aren't as familiar with She Say about your program.
Well, the name of my show is She Say Sports Podcast, and I don't only talk sports. I talk to entertainers. I talk to actors, comedians. It's been a pleasure just listening to people's stories and getting to know some of my favorite sport athletes or some of my favorite entertainers. So it's been pretty cool. I've enjoyed it a lot.
And you have one of the shows, Legends of the SIP.
Yes.
You're based there in Jackson, Mississippi, but talk a little bit about Legends of the SIP.
This segment is my baby. I so enjoyed Brian Wanky Adams, he's a Hall of Famer from Alcorn. He and I came up with the concept Legends of the SIP, and we speak to legendary Mississippi athletes. We've had Lindsey Hunter, Audie Norris, James Hollywood Robinson. This last week, we talked to Coach Dot Murphy. She was the first female football coach at Hines Community College, and that was such a joy. To meet Coach Reed, we've had some amazing guests, and so we do maybe 6 to 7 shows every season. This is our second season, so I'm truly enjoying that.
And you had one of my all-time favorites on the show. He's known now, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf back then. Growing up in Mississippi, for anybody who doesn't know the story of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, of course, his documentary is showing on Showtime, but we knew him as Chris Jackson. Yes. Growing up in Mississippi. And for everything that you see with Steph Curry now, it was Chris Jackson, later Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Yeah. That was him back there. But it's great to have you on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Welcome. This is episode 401 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that covers the sporting diaspora and all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Charles Bishop, along tonight with A.D. Drew and Sonja Stamps. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer himself, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. So now that we have the preamble out the way, A.D. Drew, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on? You know something? I'm mad at myself, and I'm mad at you guys about Tuesday's show. Show number 400.
I'm listening. This should be good.
You gonna love this when I put this together. Tuesday was June 6th, correct?
It was.
0606 was the show date for 400.
Hey, that wasn't coincidence. That we knew what was happening with that.
Wait a minute. And then let's take it one step further. In 23, 2 times 3, 06.
There you go. Well,
I'm surprised y'all didn't throw that out even behind the scenes.
Oh, it was it was a subliminal thing that we had going, so we knew what time it was.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about it? When we were at the SWAC tournament, now I see Dr. Cavil intentionally did it. He snuck an extra show in there to get it on track so that show number 400 was on 0606. Y'all think y'all slick.
If you know one thing about Dr. Cavil, he's gonna brand this show with some alpha in there somewhere. So 0606, it was perfect. We always start the first segment off. We get into some news and notes going on in and around HBCU athletics, and unfortunately start today's show off on a bit of a somber note. But I wanted to make sure we brought it to light. Lawrence Johnson, legendary HBCU sports photographer, he passed away. Of course, many of us are familiar with his work, especially within the MEAC and CIAA. But tributes pouring in all across social media, and I definitely wanted to pause and take a quick moment of silence for the sports photographer, prominent photographer, and a fixture on the HBCU sports scene, Lawrence Johnson. So we could take a small second here. Thank you. So definitely wanted to send condolences out to Lawrence Johnson's family in terms of the passing of him. But as we continue to move forward, AD, I know, man, you're a big FAMU guy, and they had some big news happening over there on the highest of 7 hills. What's going on over there?
Oh, we got a few new facilities there at Florida A&M University. No, slow down, everybody. We haven't won that lawsuit that we're going up against the state of Florida yet. These facilities aren't costing anything because they're not anything new. We're just going to call them something new. And that being the football field, which will now be and let me make sure I get this correct as I try to pull this up. I believe it's going to be called Riley Field at Bragg Memorial Stadium, if I have that correct. And my internet's running slow on my iPad at work. I guess they got the filters going on right now, so I'm trying to pull up the article to get all the correct names on everything.
But
let me go to my phone. My phone will pull it up faster.
For those not familiar with the name Ken Riley in terms of what he meant to Florida A&M athletics, just talk a little bit about how phenomenal he was at FAM and what he brought to the FAMU athletic family in terms of having a field named after him.
And one of the debates a lot of people have been wondering about is why not after another legend such as a Rudy Hubbard or someone like that who coached FAMU to titles. But Ken Riley played quarterback for the legendary Jake Gaither. 3-year starter at quarterback. I believe he had, I want to say it was 15-year NFL, now Hall of Fame career. Never missed a game in the NFL. Do you know how hard it is in the 70s to never miss a game in the NFL?
No doubt.
When there were no rules for football in the 70s in the NFL. So then he comes back as a football coach at Florida A&M University and does not win a championship while he was there, but he had some very successful and very good teams at Florida A&M while he was there. Then he goes on to become athletic director and hires the coach that does take them to those championships, that being Billy Joe. So why Ken Riley? He played there. And does not win he coached there, and he was an administrator there.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to top the resume of a Ken Riley on an institution. And then Coach Wiggins gets the softball field named after her today also. And anybody who knows anything about HBCU softball and the dominance Coach Wiggins had while she was at Florida A&M University, that was the no-brainer. And then the locker room, and I can't my mind's drawing a blank, but the locker room was also renamed there at Bragg Stadium also.
All individuals very worthy of naming there at FAMU, all legends in their own right in Florida A&M. So congratulations. And now that has been approved, man, that is a tremendous boon, if you will, for the Florida A&M family to have those individuals associated forever with Florida A&M. So kudos to Florida A&M for making that happen. I want to send shout outs to some people who have checked in with us: Carol Kellum, Brandon King, Edwin Moore, Edwin Moore. Who is this lovely Felicia Allen looking co-hosting tonight? Way to go, Edwin. Way to sneak that in there.
Thank you.
No doubt about it. Some other news and notes.
Charles, it's the George Godfather Thompson locker room.
George Godfather Thompson locker room. Okay.
And the Veronica Wiggins softball field.
Nice. That is a good look for Florida A&M. Yes, indeed. College Football Hall of Fame ballot full of HBCU hopefuls. So the 2024 College Football Hall of Fame ballot is out. And as usual, there are several HBCU-related names on the ballot. So let me go through a few of those names. Ashley Ambrose, defensive back from Mississippi Valley State. One of the all-time greatest nicknames ever, Vincent the Undertaker Brown. Linebacker from Mississippi Valley State. He was 1987 first-team All-American. Parnell Dickinson, Mississippi Valley State quarterback, 1975 All-American. William Dillon from Virginia Union. He was a free safety there. He was a three-time first-team All-American selection, 1980, 1982. Timmy Newsom, running back from Winston-Salem State. He was 1978 first-team All-American. Tyrone Poole, Fort Valley State defensive back, first-team All-American selection in 1994. Some coaches on the list. Eddie, check this out. Eddie Hurt from Virginia Lynchburg. Of course, you remember him from Morgan State. He led Morgan State to 6 Black College National Championships and 14 CIAA titles. And one of the most amazing stats ever to me with regards to Eddie Hurt, he posted 11 undefeated seasons, including the 1943 team that did not allow a score from a single opponent. So Eddie Hurt is on the ballot.
He put a hurt on some people.
He put a hurt on some people. 1932 to 1939. He led Morgan State to a 54-game win streak without a loss. So tremendous to have him on the ballot. Dwayne Reed, who was a coach at Lincoln, Missouri from 1949 to 1971. His team won 3 conference titles, and he coached 93 All-Americans in 4 different sports. And Gideon Smith from Hampton, coach from 1921 to 1940. He led the Pirates to the 1922 Black College National Championship. So all these individuals are on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame. So, of course, we are sending congratulations to being on the ballot. Of course, we hope for them to make it into the College Football Hall of Fame. So, once we come out of our first break, we're going to get into some sights and sounds and some memories from this past year in college athletics, especially HBCU athletics. It'll be very interesting to see what you guys thought about in regards to some of the news, notes, and exciting things that you saw. So once we come out of break, we'll be right back here on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's take a look back at the 22-23 college athletic year.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him. The Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up message quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. Going around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum designed for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
From novice to press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
And welcome back into Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Charles Bishop hosted tonight, of course, with A.D. Drew and Sonja Stamps of She Say. Sonja, we were talking in the break, we were going to get into some of, some top 10 lists, if you will, for this past season. But we were talking about in 06 the other day. But you had some, you threw something out there. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, you always, was just talking about your 06. I know that's your love. I'm a Delta, so I get it. 1913. However, you forgot June 7th. Prince Roger Nelson's birthday. He would have been 65 years old yesterday. And I just wanted to know, AD, what's some of your favorite songs?
Oh, Adore.
Your top three.
Let's see. Adore would definitely have to be one. When Doves Cry. Let's see. I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, you can go when he kind of rocked it up, like you sexy mother.
Yeah.
You can go all the way back to Little Red Corvette. I mean, there's just so much that you could do. But I like the older school Prince song.
You're more
before the simple. I like Prince before the simple song.
So
I like Prince all over, but
so you really like the Revolution versus better than the new Power Generation. Is that correct?
Yeah. Those songs kind of, I guess because I grew up with those songs from Prince of the Revolution versus the new Power Generation and everything, But Prince, the only person who I ever know who did everything on his album, from produce it to play the drums, play the guitar, to sing, to the whole.
Y'all got it with more just naming songs in the chat. Just calling songs out.
Well,
no song is the door.
Okay, Charles, you.
Adore probably number one. Adore probably number one. Then I'm gonna rank, for me, I go Purple Rain right under Adore, and then Pink Cashmere. So
forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm like a for real Prince fan. So, and not saying you guys aren't, but it's just I'll just say three of my favorite ones is Ballad of Dorothy Parker, If I Was Your Girlfriend, Alphabet Street. I mean, it's just
See, this is the entertainment part that you bring to the show.
Yes.
See, we can sit around and talk HBCU athletics all day, but you introduce this element of a little bit of entertainment.
Because that's my first love. Sports is my second love. So, but it's just but I'm more the Revolution versus New Power Generation. Sign of the Times, that album that came out at 87. That was the last the Revolution album. And
y'all just got Poe Edward Moore just going down memory lane. My goodness. let me try to put this car back on the track. So we were talking, and we wanted to get into a little bit of conversation tonight about just the athletic year in general. Of course, we've gone through the entire season 22-23. Football, basketball, volleyball, baseball, everything under the sun, bowling. But I just wanted to try to get into a little bit of conversation in terms of we've all covered various sports at any point in time during the year. But what were some of your fondest memories during the course of this past school year in terms of what it is that you watched or covered? Sonja, go for it. We'll start ladies first.
Okay. Well, one of my favorites, first of all, I'm a Jackson State University alum. So, of course, I'm going to talk about my Tigers. Game day, ESPN game day, our game our game against Southern, we won that game 35-0. I'll just tell you how the day went for me just a little bit. Of course, we got up very early because we wanted to make sure we were on TV. So that was very, very important. So we did make it on TV. My She Say Sports sign made it on TV. So all was well with the world. The day was pretty rainy, but it was 50,000+ fans still that came to the game. But this is what really, and Charles, I talked to you about this, and I want your perspective on it. Because you were on the field, but it was a timeout. AD, it was beautiful. It was amazing. I mean, it was a little rain mixed with so much excitement. So, but what happened was the DJ Karamu Cunning, he ended up playing FNF by Glorilla. Let's go. And when I say the stadium went crazy, everybody, let's go. So we all just. You look down on the field, the football players, everybody, the coaches, it was bananas. I'm getting chills thinking about it. And I will never forget that moment as long as I live, because it was just the unity and the presence of just, we were undefeated. It felt good to be a Tiger that day.
It was pretty.
On the field. What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it was a pretty organic moment, and that was one of the hotter songs in the nation at the time, and for it to engulf the state, and I looked up in the stands, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This was bananas. And then you looked around, and even football players were bobbing their heads. So I was just like, okay, yeah. So it was a truly organic moment, and it was really cool. That was a good one. That was a good one, son.
Yeah.
I had to get you
and
that.
Also, it felt good, beating Southern to 35.
and as all the Southern fans who tune into this show, they just tuned out right now.
I mean, Southern is our biggest rival.
Our ratings just dropped.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know, right?
It's dropped.
Go for it, AD.
Sonja, you don't in football around me.
He's breaking up.
Guys here?
Yes.
Okay. AD, you're breaking up a little bit there. We'll come back to you.
How's that?
There we go. We got you now.
It's much better.
Yeah. Don't mention rain and football around me, because I was at the MEAC SWAC Challenge this year. Not once, not twice, but 3 times due to rain. Kickoff was delayed in the middle of the first quarter, and we don't finish the doggone game. And get out of there at 1:30 in the morning because Unlike a lot of football games where I just go there and I'm covering it, and if I want to leave, I just leave. No, I'm actually working the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So I'm stuck there until they say go home.
Wow.
So,
I do remember that one very well, AD, because you were in the chat group that night, 1:30.
1:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was at the same time when FAMU was having its eligibility issues with North Carolina, as they went to the North Carolina game and subsequently into the Jackson State game, which we get our tails kicked 59-3 in the game that we needed.
You just gonna steal my thunder and take one of my memories, huh?
That was a great memory.
I mean, if you're a Jackson State fan, that's a memory you probably have filed away, and you keep that one filed away for a second or two in terms of that opening game win over FAMU on national television. So that was a good one. Sonja, was there another one that comes to mind?
Before I say that, and I love Coach Simmons. He's actually been on the show. So, but all is fair in love and war when we play you guys. Let's see. Let's talk about the Lady Tigers, the upset from Southern. We had tremendous game. 3-pointer at the buzzer by Aaliyah. I cannot pronounce her last name, but it was 65-64. That's a heartbreaker because we had, first of all, we played LSU the year before, and that was an amazing feat because we almost won that game, number one. So we got much respect from Coach Mulkey, and then we come into this year because we had a chip on our shoulder. Coach Reed said she had a chip on her shoulder and she was ready. And to win at the buzzer like that, it was such a hurtful feeling. But I'm sure JSU will take care of business coming up this season, and I'm excited to see what Coach Reed and her team will bring this season coming up.
Yeah, you take your hat off. You take your hat off to the Southern Lady Jaguar basketball team in terms of taking on Jackson State. Jackson State, when you take a look at that team coming into the SWAC tournament, they were the odds-on favorite, right, AD?
Yeah.
And for the Lady Jaguars to take them down, buzzer beater. I mean, that was one of the most memorable games that I watched, whether it was men or women this past season. And to do it in the SWAC tournament, knock the Lady Tigers out, that was tremendous. And then for the Southern Lady Jaguars to continue on with their run to get to the NCAA tournament. So that was a great memory for us, especially if you're a Southern fan, and they deservedly, were right there in the mix in terms of getting the women's championship, SWAC women's championship this past season. So, you take your hats off to them because that was a tremendous win and a great memory in terms of HBCU victories this past season.
Before we move on, would you rather lose by 1 point or 30 points? Which
30.
one hurts the most?
Yeah, put me out of my misery. I want the 30-point loss. I don't want the heartbreak.
Yeah, I don't want that was hurtful. But okay, I just want to know.
No doubt. AD, when we come back on the other side of this break, man, we're going to pick up on some of your favorite memories from this past season. So we'll be right back here on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, My colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Press the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
And welcome back in to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Charles Bishop here with A.D. Drew and Sonja Stamps. And shout out to our lab listeners. Edward Moore, he's been filling up the chat line in terms of his Prince favorites. Silas Edward McMorris, Chuck Hunt, always check in. And shout out to my guy, Chris Neely. He's sitting out there watching us tonight, and kudos to him for everything that he's doing to continue to chronicle those players that were at Jackson State that are now at Colorado, continuing to grow the pregame show platform. And as I mentioned to you Tuesday, the pregame show will be continuing to follow not just Jackson State, but HBCU athletics in general. But I tell you what, he is doing a bang-up job in terms of continuing to put content out there that is just tremendous content to watch. So shout out to my guy, Chris Neely. AD, I know you got some memories from this past season, man. What are some things that are on your mind?
About 700. Tuskegee picked up its 700th victory when no one thought they would pick it up. They picked it up against West Alabama. That was 3 of the season. And not only did they pick up 700, but they went on to win their final 8 games of the season, starting at that point. But unfortunately, the season came to a disappointing end when they were blown out by Benedict in the SIAC championship game, who in turn was blown out, despite getting the number 1 seed, was blown out in the in the second round of the regional D2 regions.
You take a look at the historical significance of that 700 victories. When you talk about Tuskegee being one of the all-time blue blood programs within HBCU athletics, that is a significant feat that I don't even want to. I can't underscore that enough. 700 wins on the football field, and you talk about the history of Tuskegee, Cleveland, Abbott, and all those tremendous teams that Tuskegee's had through the years. You talk about even the Rick Comegy years. I mean, it has been one of those true blue blood programs. And then to do it against a non-HBCU team, West Alabama, that was significant, ain't it?
Yeah, and let's put this into perspective. That 700 is number 3 all time in Division II football. That's HBCU and non-HBCU. Number 3 all time, as they are approximately 50 some odd wins behind the number 1 team. And to take it even further perspective, Tuskegee could not win another football game for the next 10 years, Charles, and no one would still catch them.
Wow.
That's how far ahead of everybody else is. No one in HBCU land even has 600 victories, where Tuskegee is north of 700.
That is tremendous. And, I tell you, Sonja, I got a taste of the Tuskegee experience. I did a game at Miles, one of their fiercest rivals, basketball game, and it's easily, you and I being from Jackson, it had that Lanier vibe to it, where everybody was down on the court, and I tell you what, the intensity of the game. Don't let the ball go out of bounds, because it was about to be a little skirmish going on. So it was, AD Drew, he can attest to it. I mean, the intensity of that game was actually one of my memories, because I tell you what, that was just a tremendous atmosphere to be a part of in that particular game. But I didn't know, AD. I didn't know how down it goes down in regards to that rivalry.
Charles, you were impressed by a basketball game?
Yeah.
Come to Alumni Bowl and witness a football game. That's all I'm going to tell you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a great point. Was there another? Well, I'm going to throw one out there, which was a significant one for me this past season in terms of, and I'll go back to football, but it was Jackson State versus Campbell. Jackson State to get that win against Campbell and sort of set that one up this past season. You know, I think a lot of questions were still in the balance with regards to Jackson State football, and a lot of people around, I think the HBCU Universal sporting world, if you will, was very curious to see how that Jackson State football team would fare against a Campbell team that had beaten North Carolina Central. Of course, Jackson State lost to North Carolina Central in the Celebration Bowl, but this particular point in the season, it was all eyes were on Jackson, Mississippi in terms of playing that game. And it was one of the most complete games that I think I've watched with regards to this Jackson State team in terms of defensively just being on point. There's a hit in that game that Aubrey Miller puts on a Campbell running back, and it immediately threw me back to 1987, those Darian and Dennis Conner years, Andre Lloyd years, when those guys would hit you. But it was another tremendous atmosphere to be a part of. Jackson State taking on Campbell. Two great coaches in that game, Coach Prime and his counterpart for Campbell. But I tell you what, that was a phenomenal experience to come out of that game with the W.
It really was. Yeah, I totally agree. And that showed a lot of people that we were real. It was Jackson State football team was actually for real. It was not just a fluke. So I enjoyed it.
No doubt. Go for it, AD. What you got?
All right. Now, y'all going to have to follow me on this one. ASU, after dominating their conference in baseball all season long, lose in the semifinals of their conference baseball tournament.
When you say ASU, which ASU?
The finals. Now, here's why you got to follow along, Charles. Which ASU am I talking about? Am I talking about Albany State or Alabama State? Because it happened both of them.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, you talk about two teams that are odds-on favorite all season.
40-win team in HBCU baseball loses in the semifinals to Florida A&M University. Albany State, the only 30-plus win team on the Division II level, lose to Spring Hill in the semifinals of the SIAC tournament. So, same headline about HBCU institutions.
You talk about two teams totally dominant during the course of the regular season, whether you're talking about an Albany State baseball team or Alabama State baseball team, and for them to come up short, and it was much like, Jackson State women's basketball team. These were the odds-on favorites to go into the tournament and handle their business. And anytime you have that sort of upset happen, it really turns the atmosphere on its ear, if you will. And I couldn't believe it. Albany State, you looked at them, they won 30-plus games, and I was shocked as anybody to see that they had come up short. And the same could be said with regards to Alabama State. We looked at them as being the odds-on favorite in the SWAC baseball tournament, and you take your hats off. Florida A&M in terms of the show that they put on in the SWAC baseball tournament to fight back from the losers bracket and to come out and win the SWAC championship. They were eventually named the HBCU baseball national champions by Black College Nines, but that was a tremendous sight to behold in terms of watching the FAMU run, AD.
Yeah, and before I turn it over to Sonja, the one thing that was common in all three of those scenarios that you mentioned with those championship teams, Jackson State, Albany State, and Alabama State, was the fact they did not even make the championship game of the conference tournament. They all lost in the semifinals of the conference tournament. I think that was the more alarming thing. If a good team gets beat in the championship game, hey, you can kind of live with it if you're a fan of that team, but to not make the championship game after having such a dominant season, that for the fans of those teams, I know it had to hurt you guys as Jackson State fans. And for me, as you know, I live in the Albany area now, so they're kind of my adopted HBCU team outside of my Rattlers and my Tuskegee Golden Tigers. So they are my adopted team now. So that kind of hurt me not to even make the championship game.
That's understandable. That's totally understandable. Sonja, I know you got to get out of here. What is one final memory on the way out?
Well, I have one. She's my namesake, my soror, Commissioner Sonja Steels. This was her first full year as MEAC commissioner. She's doing amazing things. I actually talked to her a few months ago on the show, and she's making things happen. She's moving stuff. And if I remember correctly, and Charles, you may have read this. I think I read the other day that the AD from Alcorn, he's going to the MEAC.
Yeah, Raynoid Dedeaux. He's leaving Alcorn, going back to the MEAC. So kudos to Raynoid in terms of the time that he spent at Alcorn, but he's going back to an environment that he's tremendously familiar with. He's also a fellow Mississippian. So kudos to Raynoid Dedeaux.
Yeah.
But no doubt about it. Commissioner Steels is doing yeoman work up there in the MEAC. So.
And she's doing great things, and I'm so proud of her. So yeah.
No doubt.
Sonja, before you get out of here, I got a show. I got to have you put it together for me.
Okay.
I need Sonja Steels. I need Baker Barnes, and I need Jackie McWilliams all on the same podcast with you doing the interview.
That would be so freaking dope. Now, Kiki, Dr. Barnes, I'm sorry. She's been on the show a couple of times. I've never had Dupree. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
Let
you got to get all three of them. I know they've been done separately. I want us to get them all in the same space.
Let me work on that. That would be nice.
So,
thanks, AD, for that idea.
If any of those commissioners are listening, Sonja will be reaching out to you very shortly.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Well,
just give me the credit. Just rub my name at the bottom.
I'm definitely going to give you the credit, AD. Absolutely. You gave me the idea. You hear that, Roy?
Well, I tell you what, Sonja, it has been a pleasure having you on here and contributing to Dr. Cavil today. Again, tell everyone where they can see you and your podcast.
Okay, my show comes out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. And you can look, She Say Sports on Facebook. On Instagram, She Say Sports 23. And please subscribe to our YouTube page, She Say Sports. I have a Twitter, but I really don't use it that often, so I didn't get that. But absolutely, please subscribe to our YouTube page. We have great content. Really
doubt. Good. And before we get out of here, I'll say hello to Jane back there for me. No doubt.
That's my girl. She's the reason why I do what I do. I love
Yes, indeed. A pioneer in the sport of in sports broadcasting. Well, thank you once again. And as we come back, when we come back from this break, me and AD, we'll close things out and we'll relive a few final memories of that 22-23 sports year that was. We'll be right back here on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Cover's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Cover's Voice, Cover's Voice, CoversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
And welcome back into Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. And before we go any further, a couple of quick PSAs. Definitely want to make mention of AD. You had an individual in terms of Black College Sports Network that we make sure we mention.
There we go. There's a scroll going across the bottom. Make sure you read that scroll and make sure if you are a teacher, new and current teacher, go to the link that is on the bottom of the screen. I can't talk right now, Charles. Go to the link on the bottom of the screen and sign up for Stride Professional Development. Stride has new and exciting programs for all of those in the educational field, whether you're a K teacher or a 12 teacher. That would be K-12, Charles, right?
Yeah,
anyway,
K-12.
Stride has continuing education for you. They have 6-month and 12-month plans for those, and they are giving this away right now. So they have 6 months, 12 months, depending on your personal schedule on what you need to do. So for all our educators out there, because we know most of these HBCUs were built as teacher schools or ag schools, so we're focusing on the teacher right now. Anyway, let Stride help you out.
No doubt about it. And another quick PSA: whomever your favorite team is, whoever you're an alumni of, be sure to purchase your season tickets for the upcoming season, because these athletic programs, they rely on your support. So I wanted to make sure I threw that out there. Whoever your favorite team is or you're an alumni of, be sure that you support those athletic programs, because they surely need your support. Let's get back into it, AD. A couple of more, memories of 22-23 school year that might jog some people's memories with a few of these.
I'm gonna do quickly. I'm gonna do all of these that are on this list right now happened in 2022, Charles, and see if I jog your memory with any of these things. How about Lane defeating Tennessee State in overtime back in September? How about North Carolina Central defeating number 25 New Hampshire on the road 45-27 back in September? How about in October? You'll love this one. How about that Jackson State Bethune-Cookman game when Shador threw 5 touchdown passes, and the defense tied a record with not 1, not 2, but 3 safeties in the same football game, Charles. I know you remember that one.
I do remember. Hey, you got some Tennessee State folks up. Like, why you got to bring that lane up again? Brandon King, you're not on his. You're on his naughty list.
Yeah. How about already mentioned Benedict getting dominated after dominating everybody in the regular season, they get dominated in the Division II playoffs in their first round loss. About FAMU volleyball going down to we got 3 volleyball teams. FAMU traveled to UF for their regional. Tennessee State traveled to Ohio State, and Delaware State traveled to Nebraska. I can't recall the time when we've had 3 volleyball teams that made it to the regionals, Charles. So,
good point.
How about in December when the Power Four announced their collaboration? That's the 4 HBCU conferences in the NCAA HBCU conferences. This was a bittersweet one for you, Charles. Coach Prime made his announcement after the Celebration Bowl loss that he was going on to Colorado. And then after the thrilling Celebration Bowl, the Celebration Bowl coming down to the final play of the game, win or lose. I know you was on the wrong side of that, Charles, but it was such a thrilling game.
It was a tremendous game. Yeah.
And then Ed Reed agreed in principle to coach the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Put a pin in that one, y'all, till we talk about 2023. But anything in 2022, Charles, that I mentioned?
I'm going to go back to the Celebration Bowl game, which was one of the most phenomenal games that I've watched in a long time. When you talk about the intensity of the game, that last drive by Jackson State, for it to come down to the last play, Travis Hunter making that catch and sending it into overtime. And then you take your hat off to North Carolina Central. They got the plays done when they needed to get the plays done. There was the dropped catch in the end zone for Jackson State. Jackson State subsequently lost the game. But the game itself, Jackson State, of course, being on the losing end, but the game itself was one of the most phenomenal games that I've watched in probably 20, 25 years in terms of just being on the edge of your seat. And I can't take my hat off enough to North Carolina Central, Trey Oliver. He had his team prepped and ready to go in that game. Jackson State fighting back on that last drive. It was just one of the most phenomenal games I think that I've watched in quite some time.
Of the games that I have actually witnessed live as far as football games, I'm not talking about on my iPad or TV or anything. The only game that I have ever been to that may have been on that level was I was at the Florida A&M North Carolina A&T game. That was 2019. That game was I believe that game was in overtime also when I can't do it when we won the game with a throw in the back of the end zone. When I say we, Florida A&M. That's the only game that I have ever been to that I can recall that had that type of drama. But I have to slightly put that Jackson State Central game above it because it was a championship game.
It was a championship game. It was for the Black College National Championship. So definitely want to acknowledge that Celebration Bowl being for the Black College National Championship. Kudos to North Carolina Central and Trey Oliver. Any other final ones that you mentioned? We turn the page. Let's go to 2023.
Let's turn the page and go to 2023. Let's pull that pin out the wall. The Ed Reed debacle at Bethune-Cookman. You know, both there's things on both sides of the story. There's still some things that haven't came out with that. We're not gonna get into that discussion right now because we just talked about memories. But that debacle just kind of consumed the month of January in HBCU land. We'll just leave that one right there. Let's go to February, Charles. How about the GCAC basketball tournament? You might have slept on it, but both the men and the women's championship game came down to literally the final play of the game as both of them were won on buzzer beaters. So a lot of y'all slept on the GCAC conference, but I watched it and it was all the drama that you had in that Celebration Bowl, they had in the hardwood in that GCAC basketball tournament, y'all.
Coach Eric Struthers and his Tougaloo Bulldogs. Shout out to Coach Struthers, who watches this program from time to time. But I tell you what, tremendous year. And we had that debate during the course of February in terms of GCAC basketball versus the CIAA versus the SIAC, who was sort of the better Division II programs in there. So that's a good one, AD. I like that.
I don't know who was the better program, but they definitely had the most thrilling tournament of the three that you just mentioned right there.
No doubt, no doubt.
We already mentioned the JSU upset on the women's side. How about TSU? That would be Texas Southern coming from the 8th seed to win the men's tournament. How about Virginia Union making it to the second round of the Division II tournament and came within a couple of baskets of making it to the third round of the Division II basketball tournament. Moving on to April, Charles. How about Benedict winning their 5th straight women's track title in the SIAC?
That's a good one. Yeah.
That fell under the radar. We already talked about the 2 ASUs, Charles. Let's talk about Edward Waters University softball. Dominated the only 40-win softball team out there running through the SIAC tournament, and they weren't even eligible to go to the NCAAs because they're still going through their transition.
Tremendous year for Edward Waters, yeah.
We mentioned FAMU winning the SWAC tournament. Let's flip it over to the month of June and talk about the performance that they had in the NCAA regionals. Despite going 0-2, the performance that they had against the University of Florida and against Connecticut, and having the first player ever making the all-regional team.
Hanchey, yes, indeed.
Yes,
he had a tremendous regional. Yes, indeed. That's a very good one. And you know what? As we close in up on June, you mentioned Florida A&M. Right now, we have Alabama State men's relay team. They're doing their thing in the at NCAA regionals, but it's been a tremendous year. When you take a look at the things that we've covered, the things that we've watched, it's been a very memorable year in terms of 22-23, and a lot of great tidbits that you've put out there. And if there's anything in tech that people want to remember, go for it by all means as we get ready to close this show up. AD, man, it's been tremendous again, trying to relive some of these memories of the year that was. And it's always good to kind of take a show and just try to remember everything that's really gone on this past season.
Yeah. And can I tell you where to go get the cheat sheet from, Charles?
Go for it.
Go to HBCUSportsNet.com. If anybody has seen Alex Hines' stuff on Facebook or YouTube, this is his website. And if you want a month by month of everything that has happened in HBCU, Alex Hines, any article that comes out HBCU sports related, you can probably go to Alex Hines' site and find it. So I cheated a little bit today, Charles. And I just started clicking on, okay, October, November, December, and just started scrolling about 20 pages worth of stuff, went to the highlight, went to the next one. Oh, I like that highlight, and just started taking notes, man. So that was my cheat sheet, and there's a lot of good articles on there that I realized that I missed as I was going through and looking at it. So go to HBCUSportsNet.com, check out Alex Hines' site if you want to pull up some of those memories, or just keep up with athletics. As you know, we have HBCU sports, we have HBCU Game Day, which are two of the most popular ones. But this is another one that flies under the radar, like our Division II and NAIA conferences. This website flies under the radar also.
No doubt, and great point, because Alex Hines does a tremendous job of cataloging everything that happens with regards to HBCU. So I definitely wanted to give him a shout out. Shout out to HBCU Game Day, HBCU Sports, Kim Rashad, and everywhere where we pull a lot of the HBCU information for the sporting public. Very appreciative to all our listeners for tuning in again. We're right up against it. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by the THG Agency. And THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. For AD Drew, myself, Charles Bishop, It has been another fun-filled night of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Of course, the Dean will be back with you on Tuesday. And until next week, you know how we always end this. Course.
Use of sunscreen, Dr. Cavil. Lecture
dismissed.